The Sports Scouting Report with Lee Brecheen. Brought to you by Medine's Collision Center in Baton Rouge. Take control, choose Medine's. Grosse Savant Lodge, south of Lake Charles, the true sportsman's paradise. Treads and Care Company in Central, the tires you need, the service you want. Harvey Auto in Shreveport, Bossier City, the name you have trusted for years. And Gage in Baton Rouge. Get better connected with Gage. Here's your host, Lee Brecheen.
Welcome back, Lee Brecheen, the host of Sports Scouting Report. Before we go to Aidan Corbello, one of the top kickers in the state, his dad, John Corbello, is going to join us after Aidan. He was a former LSU kicker from St. Thomas More, the Cougars, man, in Lafayette, Louisiana. Did a great job. I've covered him in high school. I'm getting really old, but he's on today, and John is going to talk, and not just about this segment's going to be his son, Aidan, but I want to mention we just had our Zay came on from Scotlandville, TZ, who's a great young man. You saw that for yourself. But Scotlandville's had some great players, Dontrell Hilliard, Brandon Bolden, who's still in the NFL with the Patriots, went to Scotlandville. Horace Belton was a former NFL running back before I was born. Kelvin Joseph is in the NFL, was at LSU, and believe it or not, Kentucky is where he finished. And Damian Jones, the center in NBA, went to Vandy, 6'11". They've won 8 state championships in basketball. And speaking of Jesuit, I don't have enough time and enough, I guess we need 4 hours to mention all the famous people to come out of Jesuit. Before we do that, I want to welcome Aidan Corbello to the show. Aidan.
Nice to be here.
Thanks for joining. You're a kicker, but you were not always a kicker.
No, I'm still an athlete.
You're an athletic kicker.
Yes, I'd like to believe so.
We've got to get that out there. And your dad, I covered your dad, and we want to throw this out. He's sitting over there watching. When he was in high school, I don't know if he told you, or I brought it up to your dad the other day, but there was a rainy game one night that I went to. I think it was at a junior high is where they played it. And he kicked over a 50-yard field goal with 5 inches of rain. The ball weighed almost 100 pounds, you know, when it gets wet. And your dad drilled it. And I was visiting from Baton Rouge, and I'm like, he's a junior. And I'm like, you know, that's all it took for me to say great kicker. Your dad was 200 pounds as a junior, big guy. And growing up, and now you're a kicker, you have the luxury of growing up with a dad who was a great kicker. What has that meant to you to have someone in the house that can show you the game?
Yeah, it's pretty much meant everything. Like a lot of people that I've kicked with, you know, usually they come to me and I'll end up, you know, helping them with stuff. But whenever I need, you know, some advice or something, I'm always asking him. It gets to the point where we'll be watching the Saints or any NFL game, and you know the game's going on. But whenever like someone's kicking a field goal, we're always like, you know, trying to see if he missed what he did wrong or if he drilled it what he did right. So it's great to talk to someone about that because, you know, not many people are interested in the kicking aspect.
Yeah. And your dad was always a calm kicker in his day. It didn't seem like much bothered him. To kick for Nick Saban, you had to be calm, right? We'll get John to talk about that. But your dad played for Saban and was all conference, was a freshman player of the week against Miami of Ohio. Was a great kicker. But what have you learned in the last year of being the guy now that you're going to be a senior? You got a year left at Jesuit. You got all that experience. It's a tough league, a lot of pressure. But what have you learned from your junior year going into your senior year?
Definitely learned that, you know, I'm not looking in the stands. Last year we had 2 games with 22,000 plus people watching. So, you know, there were some big kicks to be made. And once you're back in that stance, it is just you, your snapper, and your holder. There's nothing else to look at.
Zone it out.
It's white noise. There's nothing there. So I'd like to treat every kick the same, whether it's 200 people, whether it's 20,000 people. So, like I said, every kick's the same. You know, got to kick the ball straight from wherever you are.
Where do you like to play? I know that, you know, Tad Gormley, you play there. The Tulane's got their stadium. Is there a particular stadium you enjoy?
I always liked playing in Yeoman. For some reason, I do like the skinny post. I like the college uprights. They make me, you know, zone in, make me want to kick the ball more straight. I love Tad Gormley with the bigger games because, you know, Tad Gormley, part of City Park, it's a great atmosphere. I've always liked Southeastern too. I just like, you know, that stadium, and I've always done well there. I've had, you know, 14-point games there. So on college uprights. So it's been, fun playing there, and we didn't get a chance last year.
And hopefully it'll be a Superdome this year.
That would be awesome.
Right.
I was hoping for that.
Right. Well, you got a year left, so, I mean, that's
the
a
goal.
chance.
Yes, sir.
You and your team coming back, Bo Perez, big quarterback, Hollis McDaniel, hopefully he'll get recovered to come back this year, tight end.
Yeah, he'll be back.
You got a big O-line on your team. You got some good backs coming back. Defensively, y'all got Spencer at D-line. Y'all got some really good DNs. Y'all Helm is coming back at DN. Y'all lose some big guys from D-line, but I know there's always somebody. I know they use that word next man up, but Jesuit, really, y'all have next man up.
Well, we actually just got a big contributor, Josh Washington, who is a great basketball player. That's 6'5", 215, 220 right now. And he's been injured off his ACL, but since he hasn't been able to do, the physical aspect, he's just been a student of the game, just learning and learning and learning. He finally got back, and he's looking pretty good. He's looking
DN
like
for Jesuit or a tight end?
He's probably going to be a DN.
That's a talent.
And Spencer actually, he moved to guard. So you don't want to see him when he's pulling because we just count pancakes at the end of the game.
No, and then Dominique at linebacker is a heck of a linebacker.
Yeah, Dominiqu's a great leader, very strong guy. Football is his thing. And like I said, we lost a great linebacker in Dennis Doherty, but, Dominic will have no problem, taking that spot.
You always got those tough Bill Romanowski guys. Your dad would know that name. They just, y'all just got that guy always at Mike linebacker, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
It's just going to make 100 tackles and just eat you up inside, 5 yards in. Also, DB, y'all have 2 great DBs that are going to be seniors next year.
We have we got Nick Jacobs, who I've been friends with pretty much the majority of my life. He grew crazy. Man he's extremely strong, very agile off the line. It's hard to get off the line with him.
Yeah.
It's very lengthy. And then on the other side, we got Nick Foley, who is pretty underrated, but he's
tough.
He's tough. In our spring game, he's a very hard hitter, and not many balls were thrown his way. So he'll be good too.
And y'all got an all-state punter coming back.
Yes, we do.
I mean, y'all might have one of the best special. I do think that between Curtis and Jesuit and a couple other teams, y'all have the best special team units.
I like to think so. Hudlow just committed to Tulane, had a great day there over there. He's always been a solid player. Usually we're doing rugby punts, but we're going to shy away from that because I don't think people really know how talented he really is. So once we get some, straightaway punts and then directional punts in, I think they're really going to see what he can actually do.
And the rugby's when he's moving and punting.
That's when he's moving out, and the whole reason of that is just get the ball down the field. If they have a great returner, just get the ball down the field and hopefully, get the bounce out. But
maybe he gets that in a car.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
If he hits his best ball, they should be able to, wave it off. I don't think they'll have time.
So you like him just straight punting? Yeah,
I think he's a way better punter straight up and directional than he is
rugby. And he's a big guy.
He
220, 6 foot.
Strong.
And you're you're one of the fastest kids on the team, that your dad told me.
Yes, sir.
So I know Coach Manally's going to see the show, and your foot's very important to the team. We don't want you getting hurt or anything, but if you ever get a shot at playing receiver, would you go for it?
Oh, yeah.
You'd love that, huh?
I've been trying to get that since my freshman year.
Coach, yeah, I mean, put you a little slot, let you go in a couple of big plays there. I grew up knowing Jesuit as being obviously the school of the late Pat Screen, former mayor of Baton Rouge, one of the all-time great quarterbacks. Rusty Staub is a Hall of Famer in baseball. Will Clark. Deion Jones that played at LSU. Obviously, you know about Deion Jones. With the Falcons, that's a bad name in New Orleans, the Dirty Birds, right?
Yeah.
But, Deion's a great linebacker from Jesuit High School, saw him play. Lots of great players. LSU's got 2 or 3 on their team right now. Tulane's got 4 or 5. College-wise, you and your dad, you just told me y'all have been on a journey to the world. I think y'all been everywhere but Egypt right now.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
So kicking, you've done your amount of camps. Talk about that.
So we started off at, local, so LSU. LSU, I started off my camp season with a great season, won every competition there, kickoff, field goal, and punt. Went 100% on field goals. I think from there we went to Troy that Sunday, where I had a good camp. I love Coach Villano. He's great. They had a good camp going there. It wasn't so much – I liked it because it wasn't so much, just kick and we'll watch you. It was, we're going to do drill work and we're going to watch you. So there's a lot of drill work done, which I liked. And then got to go up to Southern Miss for a little bit. I worked with the Southern Miss kicker a good bit, and so I got invited up there by Coach Meyer. Had a good day there. Went to Houston recently too. They invited me, and had a great day there. They wanted me to punt, so I punted. Ended up having a couple 57-yard punts. Big punts that.
Okay. A little hang time with it. A little hang time.
4.5 hang time.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So, camps like that, and then we have like the Adam Tanowski Top 40 camp, which isn't really college, but he's a big recruiting guy, so he's sending out film to everybody. And that was a real eye-opener because at first, I was like, I'm a solid kicker for, local and stuff like that. But then when I got there, I was like, I can compete with these guys, definitely. Leg strength, accuracy-wise, like I can definitely compete. So that was a real eye-opener.
Was the Bourgeois still at Southern Miss?
Yes, Briggs.
He went to Santa Mall.
He did.
Good player. I saw him kick a 55-yarder in high school.
Yeah.
And he punted too. He was all state as a punter kicker, and he wasn't recruited heavily. It's the
Great
thing
coach.
now, and incredible. He might even have a pro future. Briggs.
Probably so.
Briggs.
He brings something to the table that I don't. So Briggs, kind of like my dad, he's very calm. Now me, I've always been a 3-sport athlete. I've always been aggressive. And, everyone has this mentality of, kick it, move on.
Yeah.
And I've adopted that because I had to, but usually I would be like, no, I missed that one. I'm going to go back and make it 3 more times. Just
in a good way, though.
Exactly. It was a good thing. But, at the same time, I can't go back in a game and make that same kick. It's not going to happen. So I've adopted that new way of kicking.
And you have all the tools, though. I mean, you can punt for 40-plus average for college. You can kick off deep in the end zone. You can hit range from 50 in or hit middle range. You've learned on turf and in grass playing at Jesuit. A lot of pressure games. What do you think you need to work on? I mean, like I said, you got the end zone down pat. You got the leg. What do you think is left to work on?
What's left to work on? So we lost our holder, and I had Jack Lariviere actually as my holder.
Man.
So
Mr. Javelin himself.
Oh yeah. So for the last 2 years, I had him. He was a great holder. Usually got it down, very well. Laces out. Now we have so we have either Jace Larson holding, who personally I don't want Jace to hold just because I want him focusing on,
being the guy receiver.
Exactly. So we have a guy coming in who we're going to work with, but right now we have a long snapper who I told him, said the hardest part about our operation is catching the long snap. We have a long snapper that no one knows about, and his times are
off the chart,
top tier, like .68 long snaps.
So you like what you're seeing from him? Yeah.
He's a very good long snapper. So I'm excited to work with him. He was the long snapper last year. Did phenomenal. He's going to give me a lot of time back there to do what I got to do.
That's your lifeblood to have a long snapper.
We got a good one too.
It's like a baseball and a glove for you.
Yeah, he's a great baseball player too. Yeah.
There you go. I didn't know that, but what do you think of old film on your dad kicking? Do you ever watch any old film on John?
So usually I just stick to the stories. I've watched it a couple times, but it's just apparent. He had a crazy big leg. Now he'll probably tell you during high school I've probably been a little bit more accurate. I've had more game experience based on duration since I started as a freshman, but he had a big leg. Now he can make maybe a 65. Okay, I can make a 62. So if it's a 3-yard difference, then I guess I'll take that.
And he made a 62 in a game.
He did make a 62. It was a jamboree, but he made a 62.
What would you like to? What do you think you could hit if needed? It's not like every kicker can't make 60 yarders every attempt. Not even the pro guys, but what would be a range you could go to if needed, and it's like 2 seconds on the clock and it's on the 50. Like, put me out there. Let me try.
100%. I think back to 55, 50, between 55 and 57, I can swing confidently. 60, I might have to put a little extra on it, but I have the 60 distance.
Yeah, the wind you got to know, the where it's blowing, and the height, and there's so much involved.
Well, it's just you find out what all that is before the kick.
Yeah.
And then after that, you just kick it straight.
And don't talk to anybody before you go out there, right?
Not usually. Usually I'd talk to Jack before I would kick. After he threw a touchdown and ran for a touchdown, I'd be like, hey, take a breather.
Starting at a freshman at Jesuit's not easy to do. Not many people start as freshmen. A lot of people don't know this, but Harry Connick is a graduate of Jesuit High School. We can go for days talking about graduates from Jesuit High School. We talk about Will Clark. Jay Thomas, actor from Cheers, Murphy Brown. We can go on and on, but Talk about the district. Y'all play some tough teams. Y'all play St. Aug, which is got talent everywhere. Now Edna Carr's coming in. You got Holy Cross. You got John Curtis. You got Archbishop Rummel that we didn't talk about. No easy games.
None.
A lot of close games. That's a kicker game. Like,
Exactly.
you're in a kicker district that if you pick up the paper, the Catholic League is like 16-13, 17-14, 21-17. I mean, this is the league to be in if I'm a kicker.
Well, so I like I said, I've got very lucky there. I love kicking the Catholic League because it's the biggest stage pretty much in Louisiana based on, people. And everyone in New Orleans, everyone plays at tag normally. So it's like, if you're from Jesuit, if you went to Jesuit, everyone's going to the high school games.
Yeah.
But based on who we're going to play, Jesuit, we're not going to treat anybody different. We're going to prepare for everyone the same way. We're going to prepare the same way. Maybe there's going to be a couple players that, we're going to have to, isolate, maybe work on something different to, cater to them, but we're not going to treat anyone any different.
And if I'm a college coach watching this interview, the one thing that you can't put on paper is being in that many pressure situations in high school. And John, and we'll talk to John, your dad, about it, but before you get to Tiger Stadium, before you get to the Ohio State Stadium, before you get to Florida Field and Gators, like speaking of a kick 2 years ago at LSU, but you've got that experience of pressure kicks over 4 years. Before we go, talk about who's had a big influence on your life. I know your dad has, but anybody else you want to mention about your career in football?
So definitely, I have to thank my parents because, my mom works really hard to get me to these camps. My dad, just being able to talk to him whenever I want, whenever I need about certain things. Both sides of my grandparents, they're always very supportive. My whole family's very supportive, but Coach Manali has been a great coach. He's helped me with a bunch of aspects, away from kicking. He's helped our team tremendously. Yeah. So, there's a bunch of guys, Coach Sanji especially, he's the reason I really went to Jesuit. I had a bunch of high school guys come to get me as a receiver, and they've been telling me, we want you here, but for some reason, Coach Sanji, me and him clicked, and, he had a big influence on the way I kicked. Like I said, as a freshman, he trusted me to have 13 kicks. I made 10 of them with a long of 41, so.
Aidan Corbello here from Jesuit. Before we go, I got to ask you this, because LSU fans are going to be watching this. Would you like to kick at LSU one day if the opportunity?
Without a doubt. Not a doubt in mind. That's the goal.
I mean, your dad went there, and obviously I would think you're a LSU fan. I would guess.
I would say so.
Guesstimate?
Yes.
Before we go, any LSU game that sticks out? Mine, kicking-wise, was the game 2 years ago.
I was going to say that. Katie York, had a couple conversations with him. He's a great kicker. That game was
It was
crazy.
Foggy.
Gotta
I mean,
kick it
he
straight.
couldn't even see through the fog.
He aimed for the uprights, kicked the ball straight. That's all you got to do.
Speaking of calm, he'll be the first starting kicker in the NFL from LSU day one. He got drafted high and went pro as a junior. Can you believe that? As a kicker?
Yeah. It doesn't happen often.
To go pro as a junior. Good luck to you.
Hey.
Aidan, I know you're going to do
Thank
great
you.
this coming year at Jesuit, and we're going to get your dad on here. We're going to talk about old days and obviously you again, but appreciate you being on.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll be back with John Corbello, Aidan's dad, former LSU kicker, St. Thomas More High School. His son goes to Jesuit, but he was at St. Thomas More High School in Lafayette. Watched him kick many times. We'll be right back.
Listen, whatever you're driving right now, Tommy Harvey wants it. Bring it in to Harvey Subaru, Lexus of Shreveport, Bossier City, or John Harvey Toyota. They're paying big bucks for all trades right now. They'll cut you a check right there. Tell them Lee sent you. If you need a paint job or repairs to your vehicle, go see Medine's Collision Center located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana on Kincaid Avenue. The number to call is 357-7983. That's 357-7983. Your Baton Rouge Accident Advisors. Be sure to take your car and truck for all your tire needs to Treads and Care Tire Company located in Central. The number to call is 331-8144. Family owned and operated since 1971. That's Treads and Care Tire Company. Gros Savon Lodge, the true sportsman's paradise. Gros Savon Lodge has fresh and saltwater fishing, alligator hunting, waterfowl hunting, and eco tours. located south of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Give them a call at 337-598-2357. That number to call again is 337-598-2357, and have the time of your life. Gage has served Louisiana for over 40 years. Let Gage create a custom-tailored solution for your business and become your partner in technology. Give them a call today at 225-753-4243 and help your business get better connected with Gage.
Welcome back. Lee Brecheen, your host of Sports Scouting Report. You saw Aidan Corbello, the kicker from Jesuit. Well, his dad, John Corbello, kicked at LSU under Saban and did a great job. But if you're confused, yes, his son goes to Jesuit in New Orleans. John went to St. Thomas More in Lafayette once upon a time. John? Just want to straighten it out because you grew up in Lafayette.
Right.
And then moved to New Orleans.
Correct.
And now your son's at Jesuit.
Now we're at Jesuit. Yes, sir. Thanks for having us on.
Time flies.
It does. I remember doing this with you back in like 1999 as a senior.
I remember seeing you kick in the rain in 1998 at St. Thomas More at a little junior high. They wouldn't have played that.
I think we played at Franklin. I think it might have been a Franklin game or something like that.
They wouldn't have played that game today.
No.
That was a hurricane night.
No, but I did only play, I think, 3 home games at St. Thomas More. We did not have a field until my senior year. And I played 3 home games. Well, it rained, but we didn't have a home field. It was built between my junior and senior year.
That's right. That's right.
So
you were the calm guy.
I was just kicking.
I mean, you would come in, and I mean, in high school, it was always a second on the clock. It was always a 50-yarder when I saw you in person. It wasn't them little 22-yarders.
Yeah, I had a different mentality. I just wanted to see it go high and far. If it went straight, that was an added bonus. So, yeah, it didn't have to worry about too much.
I'm a date our ages, and I'm a little older, but he was freshman of the week against Miami of Ohio, and the quarterback was Ben Rosenberger, who just retired.
Right. Right. No, he got to see a good game. He got to see me kick pretty good, and I'm sure he still tells people about that. Right.
Y'all had hey, they were competitive. He was good.
No, it was a good game, I guess.
Did you ever think Ben would be that great playing against him back then?
I remembered him just being big. Like you had Ben, you had Jared Lorenzen, the hefty lefty, and then also, I mean, we played against Eli Manning also. So I saw a few pro quarterbacks at LSU.
Saban,
he probably still remembers me fondly.
You and him had some interesting moments. He was big on the dieting and all that with all his players.
Well, first off, I don't think, for kickers, there's not a lot of coaches that are fond of kickers and punters. A kicker and punter needs to be a low maintenance position for a coach. You do not need to have to worry about your kickers and punters. And Saban we had a clear understanding early on that, because he flat out told me that if he had a kicker on the team as good as I was, I wouldn't be second string. I would be off the team. So I don't know if that was a motivating factor because it worked. But I did play for him for 3 years and started, and I think that might have been the only conversation we've ever had.
That's Nick.
And that was fine with me.
That's fine, yeah.
Do your job. Let me do my thing. We didn't need to hang out.
And you had a good punter on the team, Donnie Jones.
Donnie Jones, for a few years there, punted. Corey Gibbs before him. But yeah, we were a talented special teams group. We led the conference in a lot of categories.
Long snapper.
Wendell York, one of the best athletes to ever come out of LSU.
Great long snapper.
Yep.
Any memories? I know you're a big Tiger fan to this day.
Yes.
And we'll get to talking about your son. But what do you think about, since you've retired from playing at LSU, obviously, all these years? You saw Cade York. You've seen a bunch of guys kick. You've seen national championships. You barely missed it.
Barely missed it.
By a year.
Right. Had I been redshirted, I would have played in it.
You'd played in an Oklahoma game. Mm-hmm. But, they won it against Oklahoma. They won it against Ohio State. They won it against Clemson. Right. As a Tiger, what did that mean to you, all those championships coming in?
I love seeing LSU do well. I am a bit of a homer, but I like seeing SEC schools do well. Watching, they've had some phenomenal kickers come through in the last 20 years, with Cade York being exceptional. I mean, the difference between Cade and the other guys is just the leg strength. Plenty of guys can hit it straight, but to hit it, I saw him kick a 70-yard field goal last summer. Just taking 2 steps and ripping one. He has a phenomenal leg, and I was not surprised to see him go early in the draft as a junior.
He's going to be like Donnie. He's going to play that 15-year career probably.
He can play for a while. He can definitely play for a while. He's talented, and people don't know this either. I mean, he's a phenomenal punter too. I don't think anybody's ever seen him punt, but he would have started at any college punting as well.
LSU had some good punters prior to Donnie. Jeremy Whitten was pretty good.
Jeremy Whitten, the pooch punting expert.
Matt DeFrank was way back.
Yeah, Kessler, back in the day.
Yeah, another Florida guy, Chad Kessler. A lot of good punters. Kickers, been pretty good kickers lately.
A lot of good kickers.
A lot of good kickers.
It's been good to see. As a fan of LSU and a former kicker, I don't want to see special teams be a detriment to the team, and I don't think in the last 20 plus years that they have been.
The only thing I don't like, John, is they don't return kickoffs anymore.
No, I like
From a football fan.
I like seeing a return kickoff, especially with the athletes that we have, and in the SEC with these fast guys that people have. But now going through the recruiting process with Aidan, they're looking for kickers that putting the ball 8 yards in the back of the end zone anyway with a hang time. So even if you don't hit it, 8 yards deep, if you hit it 4 yards deep and it's got a 4-second hang time, they're probably not bringing that out either.
You very rarely see a guy catching on the 5 without doing a fair catch.
Correct.
It's automatic touchback now.
Correct.
Which is crazy because you fair catch on the 5. It was on the 5 back when you were playing.
You can gauge, I guess, how a college team feels about their offense, whether they bring it out of the end zone or not.
Right. If they can put up 500 yards a game. What do you like and not like about this NIL and everything that's going on since you played?
I like that athletes are finally able to have some money. If you're on scholarship, you cannot have a job.
No time.
Well, there's no time, and I think when I was playing, it was against the NCAA rules. You couldn't have a job. And so, yes, you have your meal plan, but you don't want to eat at the cafeteria 7 days a week. One night a week, you might want to take your girlfriend out for dinner.
Right.
And I wasn't able to do that. So I'm happy the guys are getting money. I do think they need to get some control of it because it is starting to hurt high school athletes. If you're not a max prep top 5 guy, you're probably going to have to go to a small school. And if you're on the fringe there, you just have to understand when you're going to these colleges and showing them what you can do, you're also competing with 100, 200 plus other small college athletes, that are competing for those same positions.
And then COVID came around and they gave guys extra years.
Right.
So what's finally going to happen for your son, speaking of Aidan, who was just on, did a good job all the way.
Thank you.
Those extra scholarship 6-year guys are now leaving.
Right.
So that bottleneck is leaving for your son's class, but you still have a bottleneck for the transfer portal, which is taking 8 to 10 scholarships per class away from a Louisiana school alone, which is taking away a lot of kicker scholarships, a lot of punter scholarships, long snappers.
It's kind of like college basketball. I mean, you can almost build a team year to year. And now you've got scholarships. I didn't even know it was a thing. When we got our scholarships 20 years ago, you had 5 years to play for. And now you're hearing more that these are year to year. I mean, there's guys that have on scholarship 2 or 3 years and get their scholarships taken their junior or senior year because they want to give it to someone else. It's taking the focus off of academics and graduating, and it's putting it more on sports. And I think that they do need to streamline this thing and maybe come up with some guidelines to make it fair.
You know what I like and don't like, John, and I thought this out. No one's brought it up because the fans see it as a plus, but there's also a negative. They've allowed this recruiting class to unlimited amount of signees. And you go, wow, you can sign 50 kids. But guess what? If you're on the team right now and you're slipping at all in anything, they'll cut you loose.
Absolutely.
So, good and the bad, I mean,
you're right.
So they can go out and sign 50 kids this year as long as they're at 85 scholarships.
Right. And that's what I don't like about it, because ultimately kids are going to school. Well, I know everybody wants to play pro sports, but you need to graduate. And so if you got a kid that probably couldn't afford to pay his own way through LSU and he's in his junior year, and you take his scholarship. I mean, that is I think that's definitely shameful.
And that's coming. That's the next thing.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening, and it's definitely disappointing.
So they're going to be doubling up kickers they bring in now because they're going to have that extra slot.
They could, and if you go, 75%, and they got a kid from Arkansas Monticello that's 100%, they can give him your job because I'm sure he'd love to transfer.
Catholic League. You grew up playing in Lafayette. It was always Turling's Catholic, and you'd play North Side, and every now and then maybe a Karen Crow and maybe Acadiana in a scrimmage or whatever, Notre Dame. New Orleans now. Your boy is against the best of the best in the Catholic League. I mean, we're looking at a third of the NFL guys from Louisiana coming out of the Catholic League. You throw Aidan Corbello in there,
right?
And now it's like half the NFL guys are going to come out of the Catholic League in the state.
There are no weeks off in the Catholic League. It's intense. The games are great, but the environment's great. We played in 100-year games, 100-year anniversary of these games, and we've taken years off in between there, so it's been longer. Everyone knows everybody. New Orleans, Catholic League kind of centered around metropolitan New Orleans. Everybody knows everybody. We'll go tailgate before a game. You tailgate with the parents on the other team. Aidan's played, all these kids have played ball with these other kids, whether they're on the same team with baseball or football. So it's your opponent very well, and every game is meaningful.
And now lacrosse.
And lacrosse also.
What do you think of that sport?
I haven't been around it enough. I know that our school is very good at it. Just 'cause we have so many athletes, and not everybody can play everything. But it's definitely a cool sport.
You're the dad, and I know it's hard to separate. And I'm going to ask you this, and you probably know what I'm going to ask you about Aidan. But as a dad, sitting back, as a football fan, as a kicker guru, as a guy that knows Wade Ritchie still, and some of the best kickers that ever come out, what do you think of your son as a kicker?
He's a very good kicker. He's definitely more accurate than I was. I think through his junior year, he's 22 of 30. I was, for example, I think 8 of 17 my senior year as a LSU commit. I fell into that good category, and it's still the same way. College coaches are football coaches first, and I don't know that they're great at evaluating kickers.
Like the old days too.
They like seeing the ball go high and they see it go far. When it comes to technical aspects of kicking and tactical aspects of kicking, there's things that I identify that they don't. And Aidan, for a smaller guy, because he's lighter than me, but for a smaller guy, for him to generate the same power as a big guy is pretty rare. And according to Wade Ritchie, you don't really see that until you get to the pros, just because the easy button right now is, I got a guy that's 6'4" that can kick it 75 yards. That's great. There's a lot of other things you need to evaluate too, but I do think Aidan at this point in his career is probably definitely more accurate than me, and the leg strength in the last 2 to 3 months it's measurable how much better, how good it has gotten.
And one thing that hasn't changed, they go off of a big game. Like you made a 62-yarder in a game.
Made a 62-yarder
and all of a sudden, everybody's writing about it, including me.
Yeah.
But I saw you kick a 55-yarder in the rain.
Right.
But you were always known as the big kick, long-range guy.
Right.
Like I said, percentage maybe wouldn't have been there. But those college coaches, like you said, they look at those big kicks.
It's a big kick. I mean, the 62-yarder made the newspaper. The 57-yarder my junior year is kind of what got me there, but I was less than 50%. But kid kicks a 57-yard field goal and it makes national news. That was how media was back in the day.
Like you said, what about all the other stuff?
Right.
Because you're not going to kick many 57-yarders. And
no.
I mean, Cade York did one at Florida, but that was rare.
Well, in high school it's great. I did have Coach Hightower, and that staff understood that if you kick the ball on a field goal into the end zone, it's a touchback. So, and I was also the punter, so that saved my punting average, and I was 8 of 17 because we tried. Anytime we crossed the 50, it was a field goal. So I made a lot more. I mean, I missed a lot more than I made, but we attempted some hellacious long field goals. Yeah.
Speaking of Jim Hightower, are you happy for him now that y'all didn't win state titles?
We did not.
And all of a sudden they're on a roll now.
They are. We went, the 4 years I was there, we lost in the quarters all 4 years, but I do love I'm happy for St. Thomas More, and I love watching their style of play. I like the run and gun, 5 wide. They definitely find ways to expose defenses. I love watching that.
And you probably like Walker Howard's going to LSU now, the quarterback. Jamie's son.
Yep.
And seeing Jamie play, and then Jack Besh.
Yep.
Boy, that's a tough guy, huh?
He is, and I didn't know him, but everything that I'm seeing from the St. Thomas More coaches knew that he was going to make an immediate impact at LSU, and he did.
But the guy that I remember and the guy Luke Lawton, that's the toughest guy I've ever seen in my life.
Luke's a monster, and I don't think anybody knew who he was in high school and college, but then when he got to the pros, people definitely recognized him.
You told me it took him 5 years to make it.
It took him four to 6 years, something like that, to crack it into the league, and got a Super Bowl ring, caught touchdown passes from Peyton Manning in Super Bowls. Phenomenal story. People that like the story of Rudy, they need to listen to Luke's story. It's pretty good.
They ought to do a movie on Luke.
It's impressive.
Because he barely got a chance at McNeese, right?
I think he walked on to McNeese, found his way this is when everybody's trying to get away from having a fullback, and he brought it back and did a really good job at it. And to play that position in the pros too and still be walking around is pretty impressive.
And Luke told me he was a teammate of Jamarcus Russell for a month.
Yeah,
with the Raiders.
I like to hear that story.
I can't tell that one on air, but the Oakland Raiders, he told me a great Jamarcus story.
Okay.
When they were teammates. They had some team meetings. It was pretty interesting.
I'd like to hear that.
But yeah, he got to go to the Super Bowl. Colts lost to the Saints.
Okay.
Wasn't it the Saints?
I don't know if he was at that. I don't know when he stopped, because I know he did stop and then join the military. So he's had a eventful past 20 years.
But STM was fullback U at one time.
Yes.
And I want to mention that the late Eras Otan actually tragically passed away in college at Florida.
At his freshman camp at the University of Florida.
Not even the season started.
Correct.
Great young man. And he was the best fullback I think I've ever seen in high school.
He was a true fullback.
6'2", 250.
Yeah, he was a big guy.
4'6".
Very fast, very mean, on the field, and we had a string of them.
Incredible. Well, you were 225.
I was. Thank goodness they had enough offensive linemen that I didn't have to play both. They tried, but yeah, I wasn't interested in doing that. I liked kicking and punting, and I did get to do both at St. Thomas More.
John, this is what people don't understand about your old high school at STM. The state championship teams the last 2 years, their tackles weighed 210, 215 pounds. So you were bigger than the tackles at STM.
Right.
In the last two state title games.
Bunch of hardworking kids that are overachievers.
But people get caught up into just the big names, the Holsteins, the Beshes, the Howards, but they had the smallest O-line in 4A in the playoffs.
That's not uncommon for them, I'm sure.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention today? Anything? I mean, tell everybody what you're doing.
No. Well, now on the side, I'll be helping out at Jesuit with kickers and punters this season. I told Aidan my goal is, I know we've done well if we don't have to talk during the game, because all of our work's going in the off season now. So that'll be a cool experience to share with my son and the other young men on that team. And other than that, just chasing kids around and trying to do the football recruiting circuit.
You don't have a May, June anymore.
Don't have a May, June anymore. July's, so far it's been okay.
How many miles on the car?
I put about 8,000 on in the last 2 months.
You driving the whole time?
Pretty much, yeah. Yes.
That's what dads are for.
I'm driving, he's sleeping.
That's what dads are for.
That's it.
Speaking of LSU days, any guys you still stay in touch with from your team?
I see Ryan O'Neal.
Jesuit guy?
I see Ryan O'Neal every now and then. And what is cool at Jesuit, I'll be coaching. Gino Gambaluca coaches special teams, and Gino and I were on kickoff team together. So I've lined up with Gino in the purple and gold, and I get to work with him while we're running the same special teams.
A lot of Tigers living in New Orleans coaching, huh? A lot of ex-Tiger guys.
Yeah, ran into Robert Royal not long ago. He's around. There's a bunch of guys around.
Jeff Wickersham, I believe, still in New Orleans.
Yeah.
His son was at Rommel.
Right. Chris Watermeyer was a deep snapper.
I hadn't heard that name in a long time.
At LSU. His son was a quarterback at Jesuit. We have a working relationship now, so I talk to him every now and then.
I got to ask you this. LSU, what do you think this year coming up?
You're putting me on the spot.
Well,
You're putting me on the spot.
New coach, but we'll.
Of
early.
course, I want them to win every game. My fall is much better when LSU is successful. Lee, I don't keep up with it as much as you do. I don't really even keep up with recruiting. I want to see them win every game and be competitive. I want to see some good competitive games. I hope was 8-3.
Yeah, maybe a bowl game win, maybe 9-3.
I'm not happy with that, but I know that we have high expectations now because my first season was the last losing season, and I still remember that, and I definitely don't want to go back to that.
Kelly reminds me of Bill Onsparger and Nick Saban, and the reason if you're under 50, you probably wouldn't know Bill Onsparger very well, and I know John knows Bill Onsparger, but he was all business, and he knew what he was doing, but a little different. Mm-hmm. And Saban was a little different.
Right.
You played for him, and I worked with him, and so. But it works. If you win, it works. So
look, Saban was an extremely tough coach, and I tell people, how did you like Saban? I leave it at that, but I'd play for him tomorrow. If you like to win,
and you only talked to him one time.
Yeah. Well, he really talked at me one time. It wasn't a two-way conversation, but.
So when you made the freshman All-SEC team in '99, you never talked to him?
Well, that was DiNardo's year. So 99 was DiNardo, and then the next three were Saban. The first interaction didn't go well, and I think that was my last. Was he got on me for something, and I kind of told him, "Relax, it's just a game." And that's when I got
called. You told Nick that?
Yes, and that's when I got called into the office, and the button gets pushed, and the door closes. And it was, if I have a kicker on the team as good as you, you're off the team.
It's like a James Bond movie.
Yeah, it had the button on the desk,
and people fall in with the sharks and everything.
That was the other button. I didn't get to that one yet. Don't be second string. I'd have found the other button.
I love that. You told him, relax. It's just
a game. Yeah.
Oh, man.
We understood where each other were coming from at that point.
Right. And you did your job.
I had to.
That's how you kept your job.
That's how I put the pressure on myself.
I know Aidan's going to have a great senior year at Jesuit. You're going to have some great games. I hope y'all get to the Dome. Y'all played for one this past year. And then it should be in the Dome this year. I think all the teams are back in the Dome. So
okay.
And
we just don't want to lose our last game. That's right.
That's
if you don't lose your last game, you win state.
Might be the same two teams again. Might be Catholic and Jesuit again. But I'll tell you this, it's going to be someone out of the Catholic League and probably Catholic. So
yeah, we've got a gauntlet. Anybody that gets there to the final game at the end is definitely deserving of it.
And Bird's got their quarterback back his third year as a starter. So Bird's upset too. They have been close. And Brother Martin's been close.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of.
It could go either way. It comes down to a couple good plays and a little bit of luck.
John, thank you for being on, man.
Thanks for having us.
And Aidan did a great job. Your son, Zay did a great job earlier from Scotlandville, and also thank Troy LaBeouf. I want to thank Superior Grill for their commitment to help us in New Orleans and Baton Rouge, soon to be Lafayette in a year. They're having a store that'll be opening up. And then I want to thank Marriott Hotel, College Drive, and we will see you really soon.
Thanks for listening to the Sports Scouting Report podcast with Lee Brecheen.